Hello and welcome back to Tiny Artist TV. Today we are going to be doing a Halloween candy video. So we're going to be taking some of America's favorite Halloween candies and turning them into monsters. So this is actually going to be kind of a two-parter because I do favorites and then I do one bonus one that's not so favorite of a couple of people, a lot of people. So our first one here is actually going to be nerds. So with this one was kind of difficult because nerds are very small and there's a lot of them and they're very colorful. So I was trying to figure out a way to do a monster with this candy that wasn't going to take like 1,000 years to execute. So I go with the idea of a muck but kind of made out of nerds. So I kind of imply that it's made out of thousands of tiny pieces of candy by taking my circle brush and adding it to jitter set to, I think it's like 1.8 to 2, and that way it's not like a nice clean line, it looks like it's made up of all of these tiny pieces of like candy or something. But I do go back in with a smooth brush and make some individual pieces that I do go back in later. And I actually do individually color each one of those, just randomly selecting one of the nerd colors and applying that to the smooth circles that are making up the texture around like his teeth and just other bits of his eyes and hands and things of that nature. So yeah, here we go. To do the base color that I do for the body, what I do is I take a gradient and I set that to random color. So I, of course, pick the nerd colors and then I just kind of splotch it on there. And then, like I had mentioned earlier, I go back in with the darker purple instead of a black because this is candy. Candy is fun and colorful, so we go with the purple. And then here I go with the orange first just because it stands out the most, and I'm just picking random pieces of candy to color in. And then I go back in with the pink, and then of course the yellow, the green, and then the purple. I do cut that part out, but here you can see the finished result. And now I'm going back in with my dodge tool and giving it some of that candy shine just to make them pop out a little bit more and make it look a little bit less like a garbage sludge and more like actually nerds. And then I use my burn tool to go into the mouth with the jitter brush again and make it look like there's more nerds in there. So the next one we're doing is Skittles. So the first three that I end up doing with the set, just based on the lists that I had looked at, there were a lot of candies that were kind of similar in nature, whether they were like the bars. I actually avoid doing the Hershey bar because it's just a bar of chocolate. I thought about maybe turning it into a Frankenstein, but that's kind of boring because it's the classic candy, classic monster. But anyway, here we have my Skittles, and I have decided to turn them into these Skittles ghosts, kind of in a Pac-Man fashion. They each have their own personality based on the general popularity of their flavor. So the one that's got this big ghoulish jack-o'-lantern grin is the cherry, because cherry for some reason tends to be one of the more, not for some reason, it's delicious. They're all delicious. But anyway, as one of the generally more popular Skittles flavors, so he has this like big energy just going around causing some mayhem. The one next to him on the bottom, I end up coloring green because lime is a pretty like neutral, like most people tend to like lime. For some people it's not really their go-to, but they don't mind having it in the bag. And then of course the one in the middle is lemon because for some reason lemon seems to be the least popular flavor of Skittles. So he's kind of like sad and droopy and just like gooey and just doesn't want to be there. Orange next to him is the one who's kind of like, oh yeah, I'm chilling here, like, you know, at least I'm not lemon, I'm not cherry, but I'm not the least popular one in the bag. And then the one up top, I end up coloring purple because purple, being the grape flavored Skittle, is right up there with cherry as far as popularity goes in the Skittles bag. So he is running for his life, trying to get away from whatever is trying to eat him. And I realize as I'm coloring it that it ends up looking a little bit more like a Kool-Aid or a fruit juice or a jelly more than actual Skittle. So I go in with my Dodge tool again and give it that like hard candy shine on like the head, like the front part of their Skittles body. And then I actually go back in underneath of that and do kind of a pastel, like an underlayer to make it look a little more like Skittles ectoplasm. The inside of the Skittle, they're actually like, it's like this white, colorless candy sugar cream, but when you like eat a Skittle, the candy coating kind of mixes with that, so I went with that idea to pick the colors, and it definitely made them look a little more unified as far as like not only design and color choice, but just as a hard candy ghost versus like a jelly ghost. So number 3 is Starburst. Now, the story behind the Starburst, as you can see, I'm just kind of stacking them up and sticking them together. It's kind of gross, but it's a monster, so it's gonna be a little gross. The idea behind this one was that someone just took a bunch of Starburst like at the same time, just kind of chewed them up and just like mashed them together and made this gooey, sticky abomination. And as you can see, the one on the left even has a piece missing from his face, and they're all just having a really bad time, and he's got goo dripping out of his like wound, and everyone's just like, they're all like gassed and just miserable, and they're still cute though. I maybe it's just the style, because they're all done in this kind of like super over-the-top cartoony like Cuphead style that kind of tones down some of the gross factor for some of these monsters, but I had a really good time doing this one. This was actually the last one of the second set that I did. I did do a first set, and this is my favorite out of the second set just because it looks the most like the first set. The first two, Nerds and Skittles, kind of felt more like warm-ups to me as far as, you know, just creativity and design choices. And Nerds exists, but it's definitely not my favorite out of the group. But I definitely felt much better with the Starburst design here, just because it did look more unified with the designs that I had done from the first set. Now, what happened to the first set, you may be asking? They are still in this video, but while I was recording, something happened and I lost the hour-and-a-half worth of footage that I had recorded doing the process of the sketching and the lining and the coloring of 4 out of the 6 candy monsters that I was originally doing for this video. Like I said, they are still here, but you don't really get to see the whole process. What I'm doing with this part now is actually, I've decided to incorporate colors from the wrapper into the design. Originally I was going to make the pants white to make it more cartoony, but I did this with one of the other designs as well and thought it would translate well with this one too. And I'm actually really happy that I made that choice because it just makes it look extra candy-like. So number 4 here is Snickers, and actually this was number 5 from the first set that I did. But Snickers is actually, according to the top 5 list, on some lists it's number 2, on some lists it is number 1, but in my heart it will always be number 1. Very close to Milky Way and Three Musketeers, quite honestly. But for Snickers, based on the icon, I actually thought it would be really fun to do a Headless Horseman design to show all that gooey, peanutty nougat that's inside of the Snickers bar. And so I give him this chocolate pumpkin head, and with the skirt that he's got on, I actually do, or at least try to mimic a pattern that kind of looks like the peaks that are on top of a Snickers bar. And then of course his outfit is the color of the wrapper, and then I also incorporate into his sleeves some other colors from the wrapper. and with the bag, kind of ends up looking like a Hershey's Kiss, but it's also the same color as the wrapper. I was gonna go with the idea of I was gonna put the logo on there to make it like an empty Snickers bag, but I thought simpler was better for this one, so I just leave it just as a brown, shiny, chocolate-looking bag. I had so much fun doing all of this gooey nougat. Like, I'm gonna have to do more of these in the future because I love doing like gooey, slimy, like it's just a really fun effect to draw. And I actually do have another one coming up that is just a big pile of melted chocolate. I'll let you guess which one that is. It's coming up in a couple of turns here. But I'm just finishing up the shading on the Snickers, just giving it a little more definition there. And yeah, so this guy is almost finished. I'm just adding in the candy shine with burn and dodge tools again. So Snickers is finished, and now we are moving on to the #1 most disliked Halloween candy, according to some lists that I found. And it is black licorice. Now, I actually really like black licorice, so I wanted to design this in the way that I really enjoyed drawing this, but in a way that would still translate with people who don't like black licorice and just see it as this horrible, big, nasty monster. And actually, while I was doing this, I was watching over the garden wall and realized that the design kind of ended up looking like the, not the huntsman, the beast, with the antlers and the little beady eyes there. But in my mind, I was going for more of like a snake or a dragon-like design with this. So, yeah. So as we're finishing up with black licorice, I am once again just taking my dodge tool and putting in those candy shines, and then I go back in with this very dark chocolate brown, it's not black, and put in some more of the candy lines in there as well, just to break up the shines a little bit, to give it a little bit of texture. So next up is candy corn, which was actually the first one from the first set that I did. And this one kind of set the tone for how I wanted to execute all of these monsters. This is actually one of my favorite designs. I know I said it's like Starburst or whatever was like one of my favorites, but like I love them all except for Nerds, because Nerds ended up being a dumpster fire. But here we have candy corn, and then the next one that I do is Reese's Pieces or Reese's Cups. #3 was Kit Kat, and then #4 was M&M, which is this cute little mummy here. And then here we have all of the monsters that I did for today's video. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's compilation, and have a weird day and a happy Halloween.